Monster Hunter Stories Collection just recently released, bringing Monster Hunter Stories and Monster Hunter Stories 2 Wings of Ruin to new platforms. These bright and colorful side games apply a unique spin on the Monster Hunter formula by revolving around writers, people who live with and care for the monsters that hunters typically cull. You can now enjoy the original game in high definition at 60 frames per second on Nintendo Switch, PlayStation 4, and PC, while PlayStation owners get Monster Hunter Stories 2 for the first time. Various improvements have been made alongside the remastering and porting efforts to make these the definitive versions. Monster Hunter Stories now includes content that was region-locked to Japan, and a spiffy new dub for the first time. Monster Hunter Stories 2 may not include any nice bonuses, but makes up for it by letting PlayStation players play the definitive console version of this fantastic follow-up.
Now you're a 100% fully certified real-life writer!
Monster Hunter typically leans into more realistic art styles, so one would initially think that a spin-off game would follow suit. Monster Hunter Stories abandons this part of the series' identity to reach a new audience and offer longtime fans a different way to appreciate the art of their treasured main series. Monster Hunter was shot with a kawaii beam. I think this was a smart move. Monster collecting RPGs typically lean towards younger audiences. This type of marketable design gives the series a broader appeal while also being easier on the original target hardware of the 3DS. This new style also lent itself well to things like merch and even anime. I sincerely do want to gush about the graphics a little bit. This is a remarkable looking title, especially for the hardware and time it came out during. The few cutscenes we get look amazing. They have awesome animation and even include things like smears. The character models are also top-notch and honestly still hold up stylistically. This holds true for the monsters as well. To think that such ferocious beasts could look so adorable.
It's coming at us with everything it's got! We can't go back to the village until we've dealt with this monster, buddy!
As a sequel, Monster Hunter Stories 2's main goal should be refining the formula that the first game establishes, and it does this with flying colors. Upon first glance, you can see the sizable graphical overhaul. The sparse open areas, simplistic character models, and low-res textures of Monster Hunter Stories are now brimming with significantly more detail due to the stronger base hardware. That base hardware target is the Switch. The jump from the paltry strength of the 3DS to the HD-capable Switch is a nice one, even with the original game being a graphical standout for a 3DS game. Even this first impression should leave any prospective player hopeful for an improved sequel. Raw fidelity is nice, but it's how the game uses it that makes it impressive. Monster Hunter Stories 2 doesn't shoot for photorealism, but it uses amazingly stylized characters and monsters paired with lively animation work to create a memorable presentation experience. In battle, attacks have impact and flair, while in cutscenes, the emotion is palpable. The massively upgraded lighting and effects tie everything together by making gameplay and story segments pop in ways the original was incapable of capturing. Not to mention, the increased scale combined with significantly fewer loading gates breaking up the action increases the immersion. Even outside of the fidelity jump, Monster Hunter Stories 2 just feels better in many ways. Actual gameplay elements have seen adjustments that create a substantial upgrade beyond just the graphics. Moving around, turning the camera, and navigating menus is more responsive, ensuring that base level play is more satisfying. That's not even including the mechanics that have been added or fine-tuned. Monster Hunter is traditionally an action RPG. Adapting those to turn-based isn't always easy, especially with stories taking on the extra burden of having a different dynamic with the titular monsters. Capcom pulled it off though. Monster Hunter Stories covers new grounds while very obviously being a tried and true Monster Hunter game. The broad strokes of the Monster Hunter formula are all here, and you can even engage with them in ways similar to those of the main series. You still have your normal hub and area structure here. Hubs act as safe havens where you can accept quests and bolster your strength, while areas outside of the hubs are filled with materials and monsters. These integral ingredients are here and offer the same amazing content grind. You can't touch that holy grail of Monster Hunter's core DNA. There will be riots. A piece of Monster Hunter DNA I could have done without is the ambiance-focused soundscape of the exploration zones. This is an RPG. please have music. There will be riots. However, many of these classic elements now have some extra RPG bits sprinkled in. There are now stables where you can hatch your eggs and edit various things about your Monsty buddies. Poogies are one of the mascots of the series, and make yet another appearance here. This time they're hiding all throughout the game world, waiting to be found. You even get rewarded for reaching Poogie retrieval milestones. How very RPG. Where the game's transition to being a turn-based RPG truly matters isn't in its retained gameplay loop, devilish details, or party-building mechanics. It's in the combat. Well, duh. Even though the combat is basic, it truly does several things to preserve that Monster Hunter feel while blazing new trails. I personally love how the different attack types show different weapon attack animations from the main series. It's a cool touch. Monster Hunter Stories 2 upgraded the kit, but what's an upgraded kit if it's not put to good use? Yes, a better look and feel are already much appreciated for a sequel, but the real magic starts to happen when these elements are applied in interesting ways. Monster Hunter Stories 2 also accomplishes this. Tweaks to the battle system and smoothly implemented subquests create an experience that goes down easily. I personally like a few of the adjustments to battle a ton. Being able to swap weapons mid-battle adds a lot of variety on top of an extra layer of strategy. Now you can factor your weapons into exploiting monster weaknesses. I also adore the addition of battle buddies. Having actual companions join you with their own monsties adds even more weight to the story, while tying to the theme of forging bonds quite well. Do you know what else is an amazing small tweak that makes battles more enjoyable and ties to the theme? The fact that activating the ride command now revitalizes you and your monstie. That's so awesome. The power of friendship is now a key point to the flow of battle. I also deeply appreciate the improved flow of the side content. There are many things that make this stand out to me. A lot of the clunkiness from the original Stories game has been filtered out with map improvements and the huge decrease in loading gates. Being able to access caravans from your map menu is also a blessing. These tweaks, combined with the sublime menus, made me quite addicted to farming and completing subquests. I just couldn't get as into this stuff in Monster Hunter Stories 1. Monster Hunter Stories is very obviously a 3DS game. A good-looking one, but a 3DS game nonetheless. I would be upset if this version wasn't high resolution and smooth. Good thing that it doesn't get any better than this. Yep, this is exactly what I want from a remaster. It's crispy and silky. Absolutely zero complaints. I want to praise some of the extras that were added though. Including voice acting makes this the de facto version for me. It makes the game feel complete and seals the deal on the stories aspect. Plus, finally getting the content from the updates the Japanese 3DS version received is wonderful for longtime fans and RPG fanatics. Monster Hunter Stories 2 is a Switch game at its core, so the upgrades seen in the previously released PC port and the newly hashed PlayStation 4 port revolve around stability. You won't be finding any new content or additions beyond having a silky and crisp experience. This sadly makes the PlayStation 4 version of the game a tough buy for people who already own another edition, especially when compared to the substantial additions made to the re-release of Monster Hunter Stories. That remaster includes an entire dub along with formerly Japan-only content. You really can't beat that. Despite this, the PlayStation 4 version of Monster Hunter Stories 2 is by and far the best way to play on consoles, possibly a more suitable option than PC for some. The original Switch version of Monster Hunter Stories 2 doesn't run or look particularly poorly. When docked, the game outputs at 900p, which isn't bad for the Switch. However, isn't bad can't be said about the frame rate. To be fair, it isn't awful on Switch. You usually get around 30 frames on average, with unfortunately consistent dips into the 20s. A 60 FPS cap is implemented, so there are spots that run amazingly, plus future-proofing. Gorgeous art design does a ton of the heavy lifting, yes, but the game is nowhere near unplayable on Switch. Worry-free play is what you get on PlayStation. You get a consistent 60 frames per second along with a much higher resolution than Switch. Load times are also brisk, being only a handful of seconds on average. This is the definitive console version of the game. You just can't go wrong with it unless you value portable play significantly more.
I can't believe my eyes.
Who are you?
I'm sorry to say, but this isn't red. Oh, of course. There's no way it could be.
Monster Hunter Stories holds its roots close to its heart to create a truly memorable spin-off. There is a bit of that clunk from originally being a lower budget portable RPG, but it has heart. It really does a good job of taking classic Monster Hunter staples and making them fit the new format. Battles may be turn-based, but monsters are still crafty little buggers who will throw out mix-ups along with various other surprises. Collecting eggs to hatch new monsties is also a brilliant way to naturally incorporate riders into the series. I was also quite shocked at how amazing the cutscenes looked for the 3DS game. There's actually amazing animation and expression going on. Too bad those cutscenes are few and far between. Monster Hunter Stories is a truly charming experience that's definitely worth a shot. Plus, with this new HD version, you get to enjoy new content, voice acting, and higher frame rates.
That really hurt.
Monster Hunter Stories 2: Wings of Ruin enamored me with its wonderfully stylized graphics and genuine mechanical improvements. Cutscenes are denser than the original, while being splendid eye candy. I also couldn't help but get into the grind, just like the main Monster Hunter series. There's plenty to do here, from the engaging main story to arguably more engaging farming loops that Monster Hunter is known for as a series. Plus, the PlayStation version ushers Monster Hunter Stories 2 into a new world of clarity and silky smoothness, ensuring that nothing comes between players and their gameplay experience.